Welcome to CFDb Interviews, and we are here today with actor, producer, and writer Kevin Sizemore, who plays the role of Jerry Stern in the movie Woodlawn, set to release in the theaters 10/16, which is next Friday. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today, Kevin. Do I have your permission to start recording this interview?
Yes, you do. Thank you.
You're welcome. So first of all, I would like it if you could tell us a little bit more about the movie Woodlawn and the role that you specifically play.
Yeah, Woodlawn is a story set back in the 70s in Birmingham, Alabama. It's about a gifted, unbelievably gifted football player named Tony Nathan, and he has to battle through his faith and the racial tensions on and off the field back in Woodlawn during his junior and senior year of high school. Tony Nathan is played by a newcomer named Caleb Castile, who's originally from Birmingham, just like Tony Nathan, also at the Alabama University, and just like Tony Nathan. Um, the head coach, which is my sidekick, who plays the title role in this as well, is Nick Bishop. He plays Tandy Gerald. He's the offensive coordinator. And I play Jerry Stearns, who is a defensive coordinator. And early on in this film, we see the talent of this newcome kid who's been brought into this new school that we're at, Woodlawn. And we realize that he's a very gifted athlete, but he's just scared to run the football. He's scared to get hit. And Nick's character, Tandy, connects with him and puts him on the offensive side of the ball, and he just takes over and becomes the best running back in the state. Before Bo Jackson in Alabama, there was an athlete named Tony Nathan who was a superstar. And through the racial tension, he overcomes, perseveres. And Sean Astin plays the character of Hank Irwin, who is so to speak, a team chaplain back in those days because no one really knew what that was. And he came in and gave this team a reason to play, like David and Goliath. This is a team that never should have done anything, and they did amazing things, and they were playing for a higher power other than themselves.
Yeah, that is a great description of the movie. We were blessed to be able to watch a screener a couple of months ago, and I have to say the movie really impacted the both of us. It was fantastic. And then understanding that it is based on a true story made it even more powerful. And I just I couldn't stop praying for this film. Between that and War Room, been praying for the film every day that the Holy Spirit would be at each of the screeners and each of the showings, that people's lives would be impacted.
Well, I think we have a unique opportunity with this film. When John and Andy Irwin brought on the cast that they attached to this film, and Kevin Downs and Daryl Lefevre and all of the other producers involved in this project come together. It's really hard not to take notice when you bring John Voight and Sean Astin and Nick and C. Thomas Howell and Sherry Shepard, and I was very fortunate to be able to be included in this unbelievably talented group of people. And when you see Christian films now, or faith-based movies as some people call them, I really feel that Woodlawn is going to set the bar for many up and coming films of faith, because you can't get by just plugging in people and just throwing a script together. You really have to have some great production value to make a change in Hollywood. They're taking notice because these are good projects. Woodlawn is a crossover film that the secular audience is going to fall in love with because of the story and the sports and what's going on. And the Christian audience is also going to love it because of the story and the sports and the faith. So we're getting two audiences that are going to come together and really fall in love with the story. And as I think we would all attest, anytime you're doing a project, and I would think all the filmmakers involved in this film would say the same thing, our first goal is to entertain you. And if we can entertain you, that's fantastic. Then when you're entertained, you're going to get out of it what you want to get out of it. And we hope that you walk out of this film thinking inspired, being encouraged, and thinking, whatever that may be, just thinking about how can I be a better person, or what can I do different in my life. If we can accomplish that, we've done our job.
Well, I have to say that I was personally affected by this film when I realized it was a true story. And I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything, but just the the impact of seeing the Holy Spirit show up and basically show off. It was really amazing to me to see about the Great Awakening experience and how it affected this particular group of people, this particular town, this particular school. It was pretty amazing. I would like to know how you were personally affected by it as well, learning about this.
Yeah, when I received the role and agreed to do the character of Jerry Stearns, I went to Birmingham, and the first day I was there, um, John and Andy gave me the number to Jerry, and we went over and I picked up some barbecue and went to his house and hung out. And my reasoning for that was not to try to play Jerry 100% the way Jerry was. There's no way you can do that. I wanted to get to know Jerry and talk to him and see his mannerisms. And really, I just kind of wanted his blessing to say, you know, this guy's going to do me justice and he's going to do a good job. And I think this is a good fit. We spent a lot of time together and we talked almost every day. I was there for 9 weeks.
Wow.
And at one point, I was able to encourage him because he didn't want to come, but I encouraged him to come to the set. He had diabetes at the time. He had 2 prosthetic legs. His health was really bad, but we were able to get him to Legion Field. Legion Field is where they played a game between Banks High School and Woodlawn High School, and over 40,000 people attended that high school football game, and they turned away 20,000 people.
Wow.
So we got him to come to one of the filming dates where a lot of the athletes that he coached were there that day. So they had the opportunity to go up to Jerry and give him love and hug him and say, not only were you a great coach, but you were a great mentor. I didn't have a father, and I needed someone at this certain time in my life, and I needed that. And he was able to hear that, and he got reinvigorated, and he was excited, and he had something to live for, and he was just really, really passionate about this movie. And about 3 weeks after that, which was about 4 days before we wrapped production, Jerry passed away.
Wow.
So Sean and Nick and I were having dinner when the phone call came through, and it literally just crumbled me to my knees almost. It was really hard, really, really difficult to hear because we became very close. We texted each other that day. So the next day I had a day off, and I went right to their house and spent the entire day with the Stearns family. And I remember saying something because what do you say when someone passes away other than I'm really sorry? But I remember saying that it's ironic that Jerry is involved in this movie the way he is. And they looked at me and they go, why? I said, because he's going to see this movie before any of us ever will. And that was pretty cool. That was really cool. And it was very interesting for me to be able to play a character that has passed away during the process of me portraying that character. That's been a first for me. But I actually got a text from Diane, his wife, today. And we continue to stay in touch because I think that's what Jerry would want us to do.
That's a great story. Very touching. I can't even imagine what that's like, getting to know someone so well and for that specific reason, and then having him pass away just before that. I actually didn't know that. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, what would you do if you knew you only had 8 weeks with someone? I would do. I know I would do things differently. I would. Oh my gosh, you know, he and I would have gone to see a movie together. You know, I would have gone over 3 more times. I'd have made him come to the game or the shooting. You know, what would you do? So having said that, what are you going to do with your life today? You know, what are you going to do with that person who's maybe not been as nice to you? Maybe you guys need to have a talk. You know, it's those types of things. It's just. Do unto others as you would have do unto you. That type of the golden rule. It's just try to treat people well, and if you put people in front of you and before you, things will be okay. And listen, we all know that there's just certain people. Sometimes it's better off you go your way and I'll go mine, and that's just the way it is. It's just sometimes you agree to disagree. But when it comes to people that are really close to you, your family, your loved ones, nothing's guaranteed. We don't know how long we're going to be here. We have no clue. So take advantage of that time.
Well, you're definitely giving us a lot to think about. For sure. That's life is so short, and you just never know. And there's something about Woodlawn that touched mine and my husband's heart that no other film really had. So, one of the things we talk about faith-based films or Christian films is we look for the Holy Spirit to be behind the film. While you're watching it seemed like the Holy Spirit was there during the film, and it just really opened your eyes to just see what God's power can be, and that maybe during our lifetime we might have another great awakening experience, even the final one. That would be awesome. And it seemed like Woodlawn is a film that could be a catalyst for that, just like War Room was a catalyst for prayer. So the two films together, so closely together, it's really, I'm just looking forward to seeing how many lives are going to be impacted specifically by this.
Yeah, it's hard to put a number on that because, only one knows that. But what's encouraging to me is when you have a movie like this, and I stated this earlier, when you have a good movie and families can come to that movie and they can walk out with something. And listen, one of my really good friends, he's an atheist, and I brought him to a screening of the movie because I didn't want just a Christian to go see a movie. I don't think that's the best way to let this movie be seen. I think the secular audience, the people who don't know Christ, and every walk of life needs to see this movie because I want to know what they think. That's interesting to me. And I took my friend to this movie, and he looked up afterwards and he walked over to him and he goes, "Listen, that's one of the best movies I've ever seen." He goes, there was a lot of a talk about faith in there. He goes, but there's so much going on and the stories are so interesting that I really forgot about it. I just watched a good movie. And that's what I want to do. I just want to tell a good movie. And if it happens to be a Christian movie, that's even better. But there are other projects I'm doing now they're not Christian films, but they're still good movies. And that's the point, is just making a good film so people can be entertained.
Well, I do hope that everyone listening and people all over that are thinking about going to Woodlawn will realize that this is a movie that, it doesn't have to be a Christian watching it, that it is going to be a movie that will be great for non-believers as well. That's great that you mentioned that.
You
And
know, I
you
was,
also,
I was talking to Bone Hampton, who's, I'm sure you know Bone Hampton, a Christian comedian. He was at my house 2 nights ago and we were talking. And he said, I have a lot of friends in the secular world. And he goes, sometimes when you say, hey, I have a Christian film coming out, they're not going to go because the track record for the past has shown you that, the writing is not as up to snuff and the talent is sometimes not as good because they'll hire a few actors and some non-actors. And that's pro and con, however you want to look at it. He said, but, I'm just going to tell my friends this. Hey, man, you want to go see a good football movie? And that's it. And you let them go in and discover it for themselves. That's it. Once they get in, let them make their own choice. There's no reason for me to have to tell someone what this movie is and what it's about, other than, you want to go see a good movie? What's it about? Oh, dude, if you love sports, you're going to love this. And then let them figure it out. And if they're touched, they're touched. And if they're not, it might be next week. Who knows?
that's a great suggestion, and I hope people actually do that. That's a great idea. You had mentioned that you have some upcoming projects that you are working on. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those? Can you?
Yeah, we're in the early stages of development on the Meadowlark Lemon story. Meadowlark Lemon is from the Harlem Globetrotters, and he was actually at our premiere this week. And we're in the early stages with Relentless Media on that one. We have a film that I co-wrote with Greg Robbins called Where Heaven and Hell Collide, and that one's already out. We're actually in the pitching mode right now for the funding, and that's a beautiful, beautiful story about a war veteran coming back to give the VA vets a voice in their hospital, because we know that when they're in the hospital, they don't have a voice.
Nice.
And this week, I just signed on to produce and act in a film with Ryan O'Quinn and Miles Brown from Blackish. And we're going to shoot that in the state of Virginia. And that's called Believe. And that's directed by Billy Dixon.
Well, that sounds great. I would like to ask if, before we close, if you would let people know how they can learn more about you and your work and also about Woodlawn?
Yeah, first off, Woodlawn is going to be coming out October 16th nationwide. It will be everywhere. You can go to woodlawnmovie.com, WOODLAWN movie.com, and you can find a theater and listings near you. You can see the trailer. You can go on there and find downloads, photographs. You can see endorsements. Everything's on there. If you need something for your church, for example, there's resources on there to where you can download and get documents to download for Bible study, for a men's group, any of those things that you want to do, they're all there. Regarding me, I'm on Twitter at Kevin Sizemore, Instagram, Facebook, Kevin Sizemore page, or you can go check it out, imdb.com, and just type in my name and you'll see some things pop up.
That's great. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the Christian Film Database listeners that hasn't already been covered?
When you look at the way movies are today, we have a plethora of options between our computer screens and our TV screens and Netflix, and you have so many choices. I really would have to say, not because I'm in this movie, do yourself a favor and go see Woodlawn. It's going to make you think, like you said, it's going to make you cry, it's going to make you stand up, and it might even drop you to your knees. But don't just go with your Christian friends. That's not going to do it any service. You got to take friends, Christian friends, non-Christian friends. Just take your friends and just go see a good movie. And they might not get out of it what you will, but you never know, they might. So just go have a good night out, and I think you'll be happy that you've treated yourself to go see Woodlawn. The Irwin brothers put together a fantastic film. And if you don't know who the Irwin brothers are, their first film was October Baby, and their second film was Mom's Night Out. And I'm telling you, when you see Woodlawn, you're going to be blown away.
I fully agree with you. And I want to thank you so much, Kevin, for taking the time to talk with me today. You have been listening to CFDb Interviews. For more about CFDB, please check out our website at christianfilmdatabase.com.